Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Hope everyone is doing fine. Welcome to another classic album review. And today we're looking at an album by a band that I've never been a huge fan of, but there's one or two songs on this album I like. Talking about Radiohead's Kid A. Now Radiohead are an English rock band that were formed in Abingdon in Oxfordshire in 1985. The band consists of Tom York, brothers Johnny Greenwood and Colin Greenwood. One plays lead guitar and Colin plays the bass. Tom York is vocals, guitars, pianos and keyboards. Ed O'Brien is guitars and backing vocals. Philip Selway was drums and percussions. They've got this experimental approach to music. Some of it's good, some of it's dull and boring, and I've never really got into this band. But I respect that there's people out there that love them, and they must do something right because they've sold over 30 million albums, 6 Grammy Awards, 4 Ivor Novello Awards, and 7 Radiohead singles have reached the top 10 singles, and 5 of Radiohead's albums have been included in the 500 greatest albums according to Rolling Stone, and they have been inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2019, which I think is a little bit controversial, but there you go, because I'm one of these that, I think the bands that get in the Rock and Roll in Hall of Fame, there's bands that have been going far longer and they're not even in there. That's another subject that really gets my goat. So that's for another day. Probably for a discussion we can have on a live stream about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay then, so let's have a look at this album that I don't mind at all. This is Kid A. It's the 4th album, and it was released in 2000. It's produced by Nigel Godrich. They were considering to release this as a double album because they had lots of material, but decided it was too dense. And what they didn't use on this album was on an album called Amnestic that was released 8 months later. Now I've heard that, and I feel there's songs on there that they should have swapped some of the songs over. I think there's songs on there that should have been on Kid A actually, and there's songs that are on there that should have been left off this. But who knows? I will. No doubt I might do a ranking at some stage of this band. You know, go out of my comfort zone. So let's have a look who's on here. So first we've got joining the band. We've got the Orchestra of St John Strings. Got horns on the National Anthem, done by Andy Bush, Steve Hamilton, Martin Hathaway, Andy Hamilton, Mark Lockhart, Stan Harrison, Liam Kirkham, Mike Kersley and Harry Binns. So the rest of the band is of course Tom York, Johnny and Colin Greenwood, Ed O'Brien and Phil Selway. First track on here is a track called Everything Is in the Right Place. Now I love this. I love that rich keyboard and the bass and this weird vocal you get from Tom. It's very good. This is very proggy, of course, and it's probably why I like this track. It's just modern day prog for me. Bit of fusion as well. Then we get the title track, Kid A. This is quite weird, but it's got such a catchy bass line to it. You cannot dislike this. The National Anthem, a track with a great bass line and a very nice atmospheric track. Lots of delicate touches and ambient sounds, like that one. Yeah, pretty good. How to Disappear Completely, good track. Nice melody on this, which is unusual for this band. It's very atmospheric as well. Then we get Treefingers. The keyboards on this are fantastic. Atmospheric and ambient. Optimistic. Love the bass line in this. It's got a nice guitar that really drives this strong. In Limbo. Now, this is probably one of my favourite tracks by Radiohead. There's not many, but this is one of them that I like. I love the gentleness of it, the delicate guitar work here from Johnny Greenwood. He's very, very good at that sort of thing. He's a really good guitar player, I think. Then we get Idioteque. I find the drum machine on this very irritating. We don't need drum machines in bands that have got half decent drummers. Morning Bell. Oh, it's a little bit weird. This is Radiohead to me at their best weirdness. And it's one of them tracks that I wouldn't really sit down and listen to. And then the last track on here is Motion Picture Soundtrack. There's a hidden track at the end of it, but the actual song is dull, boring, and one of the reasons I'm not a great fan of Radiohead. I can't imagine going to sit and listen to that at a concert, to be quite honest. But you get this hidden track, which is very ambient, and the keyboards are really great. It did well though in the album charts. Got to number 1 in the UK, France, Canada. Platinum both in America and UK. Japan it went platinum. Canada 2 times platinum. Australia platinum. Yeah, I can understand why this album did well. But as I said, I'm not the greatest Radiohead fan. And the way I discovered this album is purely by accident. I was listening to... I think I was listening to the latest Porcupine Tree album on it. And when the album finished, you know, on Spotify it just plays something randomly very similar. And they started playing one of the tracks off this album. I thought, oh, this isn't too bad. So that's when I went in and listened to it all the way through, and I found that I quite liked it. Did this research and I found out that it was one of their best-selling albums. I just think it's very ambient. Okay, there are a few on here that are a little bit weird, but I do like the vocals. The last 3 tracks on here are very dull though. That's probably what really switches me off from Radiohead. But I am going to give it a blast. I'm going to listen to their entire catalogue. So probably towards Christmas, I know it's a long way off, you'll probably get a Radiohead full album ranking. But at the moment, listening to this one, it's a pretty good album. The last 3 tracks I said are not for me, but for the rest of the album I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Let's see what happens if I rank it, and if this will get more than 7.5. Be interesting, that one. Okay, that's all for us today. I'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow is our monthly Ladies' Day on RTO, where we appreciate some of the finest female artists the world has given us. And tomorrow we have got a full album ranking of the Bangles, another of those bands who were influenced by Fanny and the Go-Go's, and a really great band, really like them. And then we got a retro ranking on the multi-talented singer, songwriter, actress, Miss Hazel O'Connor. Looking forward to that. Really big fan of Hazel. She's wrote some great songs. So that's all for tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll definitely see you tomorrow. Bye for now.